All righty there. Welcome to the midweek Student of the Gun Radio. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for taking a moment out of your day to listen just a little bit louder. And if you're new to Student of the Gun, welcome. And if this is your first week and this is like show number 2 or 3 for you, congratulations. And here's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to sit down, close your mouth, open up your ears, and listen louder. And you'll get it eventually. You don't get it the first time. If you think, that's the sad thing, is people think that they should be able to get it the first time. We're not that simple. We are way more complex than that. Are we not, Jared?
We are.
Yes. And that voice that you're hearing there, that is Jared, the studio engineer, the producer, and the man on the other side of the glass. I am your host, Professor Paul Markle, and I am inside of the Glass Case of Emotion Studios, which is located at Student of the Gun University in sunny Biloxi, Mississippi, where the weather has broken.
Yes, the humidity is supposed to be not at all.
We've got a breeze coming from the north. The only good thing that could possibly ever come from the north is a breeze. For all of you Yankees up there. Yeah, exactly. No, it was 75 degrees when I left the house this morning. I was like, yes.
When I was on my way home last night, I called Grandpa, and he was like, yeah, it's probably going to get down to 60 tonight. It was 9:30 here. I looked at the temperature. It was 87. I was like, oh, that must be nice.
Well, actually, it's supposed to get down into the 60s here this week.
Yeah.
And for those of us down here in the jungle, in the jungle heat, down into the 60s at night is really nice. When you walk out on your porch at 11:30 at night and it's still like 84 degrees and 78% humidity, that's hot.
I walked out onto my porch this morning at whatever time. It was like 11 or so. And I walked outside.
Barely morning.
Yeah, barely morning. Whatever. I earned that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I slept in this today. But anyway, my point is that I walked outside and it was cooler in the sun outside than it was last night in my car.
In the dark.
In the dark.
For those of you who never had the privilege and opportunity for living down here in the subtropics of the South, in the South, you treat the fall like people up north treat the spring. I know I might have said this before, but it's very, very true. You know, up north, in January, February, and then March comes along and the sun starts to come out and it starts to warm up a little bit and you go outside and you're like, oh, thank the Lord we survived the winter. Now we're rewarded with spring. It's the exact opposite down here. It's June, July, August, and then it gets to September and you go outside and not immediately start sweating the moment you walk out of your front door and you go, oh, we survived the summer. Now we're rewarded with fall. And the autumn down here is actually, it's pretty nice. October and November are generally very, very pleasant. Even December. The only months that are really kind of nasty is getting into late December, I guess January, February, we get that cold rain. But other than that, and then you just have to deal with the jungle hot from July through September.
Oh, speaking of being happy of stuff when it comes around, I'm going to have the Wrong Like Dick Cancer stickers up for pre-order. Grad program's going to get first dibs on them. We're only doing 100 stickers.
Yes.
So if they sell out of the grad program only, I'm sorry, that's just how it is. If they jump on them, then that's what happened.
Yeah, I talked to the sticker guy this morning, and the sticker guy said that they would have them ready mid next week. So Jared's going to do
pre-orders will be available on Thursday.
Yeah,
I'm going to release them today to the grad program.
Okay. So there you have it. It pays to be a Student of the Gun grad program member. You're like, well, how can I do that? I don't know. Well, listen louder. Go to the website. Click on it. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, while you guys are listening, since I've been reworking the website, there's a little thing on the website that says log in or become a member. What are you smiling over there for?
I got something to tell you, but go ahead.
Okay. I was like, you just started smiling.
Yeah, he just started that grin on his face.
Yeah, that smirk. So right now I'm in the middle of reworking the website, so you can't use the information when you become a member to actually log into the website. That'll be in the future. I've gotten a couple emails about it that said, hey, why can't I use this email address and this password to log in? You will be able to do that in the future, but not right now. And you guys that are part of the grad program, you can go to gumroad.com/library, and you can get everything that's available to you there.
Yes, Jared is working on the Student of the Gun All Access, grad program All Access, and that is coming very soon. Now, you want to know the reason I was smirking over here?
Why?
Was because, was it yesterday or the day before that we were talking about the Century Arms RPK, the C39, 100% made in the USA?
I think it was yesterday.
And I said, if you guys want to see one, I said, you need to send, we were joking, we said, well, send a message to Century, to Jacob, and tell him, how come Student of the Gun doesn't have their gun yet so they can review it for us? Guess who I got an email from this morning?
Who? Jacob?
Jacob saying, and it was CC'd. It says, Dina, get Paul one of those C39 RPKs.
That's funny. Somebody must have
I don't know if that's a coincidence or what, but regardless,
that's awesome.
I would anticipate by sometime next week that we'll probably have our hot little hands on it, and we're going to start the review. And also, Century Arms, they wanted us to, well, we've been telling you, but I'm going to remind you again that they still have the rebate program. Is a $25 rebate on the TP9 SA? Yes, eh? Go to centuryarms.com for the details. But essentially it's this. You buy a TP9 SA from your local dealer at an already ridiculously low price, and then you send in proof of purchase and so forth to Century, and they rebate you another $25. So basically it's like getting 1.5 or 2 boxes of practice ammo for free.
Our buddy Jerry McInnes said, hey, that he got one.
Oh, did he?
He got the Desert Tan.
Ah, cool.
And he said, this is a ridiculously awesome deal, and if you don't get one, you're wrong and you need to fix yourself.
That's right. You are wrong. It is, and it's not going to be like that forever. Let me tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, right now, we've been telling you, we've been reminding you, kids, that now is the time to buy your guns and ammo. If you're looking at your locker and you say, man, I really want a full-size 9mm pistol, or I want an AK, or I want whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't care what you want. This summer, and it's August now as you're listening to this, the prices on everything are, I can't think of one gun-related item that is high right now. I think the prices on pretty much everything, whether it's a shotgun, a rifle, a pistol, ammo, they're all down because it's a summer, and what do we know? Well, we know that most people aren't out buying gun stuff. Most of your peers are out with their families on vacation, and they're camping, and they're sailing, and they're swimming, and they're doing all that kind of summertime stuff. That's going to come to an end, number one, because we've got hunting season coming up. And I understand that they do a lot of sales during hunting season. But we also have national elections coming up. And if it looks like a slimy, puke-faced Democrat is going to get elected, or there's a chance, your friends and neighbors are going to panic buy. All right? It's going to happen. So don't be part of the panic buy crowd. Buy your stuff now. Take the time to buy a little bit, if you're talking about ammo or whatever, take the time to buy a little bit now before all of the knuckleheads panic buy. Crossbreed holsters. Jared, you got your TP9 SA?
Yes, I do.
In a Crossbreed holster?
In my Crossbreed OWB holster.
That's right. And I've got my pistol on my hip right now in a Crossbreed Super Tuck holster. Go over to crossbreedholsters.com and check those guys out. And make sure that you if you're following Century on Facebook, send them a little thing that says, thanks for sending Student of the Gun the RPK so we can look at it. We can check it out. All right. It's one of, if we have a favorite day, I guess Mondays and Wednesdays are kind of the fan favorites because we've got the SWAT Fuel Warrior of the Week, and that gives somebody the opportunity to hear their own voice on Student of the Gun Radio and win a free bottle of SWAT Fuel, 9mm plus P. And today is SWAT Fuel Fitness Talk Day. And, of course, it's your favoritist update theme in the whole widest world.
Fantastic, big body ocean is a big Titanic woman and ice, sweet, energetic, big body ocean is a big Titanic woman and ice, sweet, fantastic. Mickey Body out in the big Titanic woman and dance. Sweet, fantastic.
You guys couldn't see this, but Dad, that song is so powerful that Dad was over there. He hurt himself, but he was still dancing. Did you notice that?
Yes. Oh. I'm actually. Did you wonder what? Did you see what I'm doing over here? I'm soaking my fingers in the cup.
Oh no, I didn't see your.
Yeah, I was sparring with Zach with the Gladius swords, and I got clipped on my left pinky, right on top of the nail. Now I had the gloves on. Thank God, I had the protective gloves on.
If you wouldn't have, then
it's that my pinky is swollen up. It's hard. It's swollen like a grape.
That goes right in with today's.
So I'm soaking my finger in a cup of Epsom salt water.
Yay for that. It goes right in with today's fitness talk. We're going to talk about recovering from injury.
Amazing. Imagine that. Why would we be talking about recovering from injury? That's crazy talk. Is that just a coincidence? Did you have this planned?
It just happened to be today, the week after my fight. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I'm hard-headed sometimes, and I'm sure a lot of you are. When you injure yourself, I haven't quite figured out why it's hard to admit to yourself that you're injured. Do you know? Is it?
I don't know. It's like admitting that you This is the
grad program.
This is not the grad program, Art. So watch your words. There might be children listening. I guess it's like men admitting that they have a small ego. They have a small ego.
Okay.
That's like, maybe that's what it's like. But no, men are hard-headed. Men are rockheads.
Yeah.
And what did the doctor tell you? What did the fight doctor tell you at the end? The fight doctor and the commissioner pulled you aside, and what did they tell you?
Go to the hospital?
Go to the hospital and have them check you out and make sure that everything's okay.
Yeah.
And what was your first reaction?
My first reaction was yes, okay.
No, and then you stepped on and you're like, I think I'm okay.
They said go within 21 days. Mm-hmm. So they didn't say go now because you're going to die.
Right.
I was planning on going anyway, but I just wanted to go get some food and do some other stuff before I actually committed to going to the hospital. But my point is that sometimes you need to actually let your body rest. Sit down or lay down, sit in an Epsom salt bath, do something, ice bath. A lot of you probably don't ever do ice baths. Ice first, heat second. Ice, then heat.
Ice, then heat.
If it's swollen, you need to ice it. If
it's sore, then you heat.
Yeah. And just recovery. Do it. Don't be hard-headed. Like this week, I was actually supposed to, I don't know if we told them this or not, but I was supposed to do a Slugfest Tough Man competition this weekend. And yesterday, I was all like, I could do it. I'll be healed by then. Because we're going to wear headgear and boxing gloves, so it's not like we're going to have MMA.
Yeah, but you still have the impact, the ba-dump-ba-dump, the pounding on your noggin.
Yeah, but it's padded.
Yeah, you need.
It's got like 6 inches of padding.
Let your noggin heal.
Yeah. Yesterday I was all like, I'm going to do that, and then today I woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and not do that.
Since you still have butterfly bandages over your eyes, and there's no possible way that those cuts are going to be fully healed by Saturday.
You want to know something funny?
What's that?
Last night I was standing in the kitchen and I sneezed and I was like, man, feels like my head's going to explode. And then right after I sneezed, my eye started bleeding. I was like, man, my head did explode.
That way you got another band?
I got a third one on there.
Third butterfly on your head?
Yeah.
Well, don't sneeze anymore. How's that sound?
I have tried not to do that today.
Mm. But yeah, recovery from injury. So essentially, ice first, and then heat afterwards. Rest. How about nutrition? How about eating? What do you want to put in your body when you're trying to recover?
Good food.
Protein, iron.
Eat protein. Definitely eat protein all the time. But
you need, especially if you've bled, iron.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let's talk about bruising. Something that a lot of people don't consider, and this is kind of an injury-related thing, but bruising. Yeah, and when I became this is 20 years ago, when I was a Red Cross family first aid instructor. I taught CPR and Heimlich and all the Red Cross, burn management and all that jazz for CPR. I'm sorry, for Red Cross. And one of the things that I learned back then, and it was reinforced to me, was the fact that even if you're not bleeding externally, a bruise that is the size of, let's say, a grapefruit or a softball, if it's that size or larger, that can represent a 15 to 20% loss in blood volume. You're like, yeah, but the blood's still in there. It's still inside your body. It didn't leak out onto the ground. Yeah, I understand that.
You guys that are graduates of Beyond the Band-Aid will know the threshold.
Yeah.
How much percentage of
you
blood volume
you can lose before you go into shock.
Irreversible shock.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't. They think, oh well, bruising. It's it's uncomfortable and it's not fun, but it's not threatening my health or my life. And the fact of the matter is, if you have people have died from car injuries that have had internal bruising, it's called hemorrhaging, internal hemorrhaging. And so if you are ever in a situation where you are assaulted or, not assaulted, but you have major bruising, you need to watch that and you need to get your butt into the hospital because you could really, be seriously injured, go into shock, and or die from something like that. So that is, like, for instance, Jared's opponent has a bruise that essentially goes from his knee up to his hip bone on his left leg, and that represents a huge amount of blood loss, blood that is not actually being used by your circulatory system that's flooding into that damaged tissue. And I'm not a doctor, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I can tell you this. If you have major bruising like that, you need to watch it. If you have a patient or a person, someone who gets major bruising, you need to watch those people. And, of course, you need to replace the iron. They need that iron. It's kind of like after you give blood, they tell you go eat a steak or hamburger or something. It's not a joke. You need that. You need that iron. You need that protein in your diet.
I could go for some steak.
There you go. You know where they serve really good? They have a really good steak deal.
Where?
At freaking Hard Rock, the Vibe, the 24/7.
They have steak there.
Yeah, you can order. You can. Yeah, man, I was there a week or so ago, and your mom bought me steak.
I think we were planning on going to Sal and Mookie's tonight. Have you been there yet?
No. Well, Christina says hi.
Okay.
I saw her last night.
I might go see her. Is she there tonight?
Yeah, she should be.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, folks, we've got an update for you. We've got a kind of a. We've talked previously on Student of the Gun about how the human race, about how Ivo Shandor was right, and how we've gotten so modern and so enlightened and so comfortable as a race of human beings that things that we've known for the entire history of humanity, we've somehow forgotten, and we don't know that anymore. Like, for instance, since we were cavemen, since biblical times, open the Bible, and you'll see, David killing the lion and the bear, and people have had to fight against wild animals. And they understood that, there's these things called wild animals, and they're predators, bears, lions, tigers, wolves, coyotes, whatever, and they will eat you. But here in 2015, in the great modern 21st century, apparently human beings have completely and totally forgotten that. And every animal apparently now in their minds is a Disney character. And they're all lovable and fuzzy and curious. No, they're not. Animals are not Disney movie characters. They're wild animals. Even a white-tailed deer can kick the crap out of you or gouge you with their antlers. They're wild animals.
Or scare you when you're trying to put them in your trunk.
Yeah, or, was that Friday?
Yeah.
That was Friday. If you guys missed it. Well, some of you didn't miss it. Some of you did. But anyway, we've got a kind of a unique update for you guys here. And it's funny because I just watched this movie on DVD last night. Thank you, Morris Day and The Time, for giving us that update theme, Jungle Love. Who's the king of the jungle, Jared? Who's the king of the jungle?
Tarzan?
No. The lion. The lion is the king of the jungle.
I thought that was something.
Although,
from the movie that
what's
I've never
funny
seen.
is because they call the lion the king of the jungle, but shouldn't he be more like the king of the plains or the Serengeti or what have you? I don't know. But here's what I do know is that lions are wild animals, and to a lion, you look like food. You don't look like their friend. You don't look like a curious passerby. When a lion sees you and sniffs you, he's like, I could eat that. Yeah, I could eat that. Well, and stop naming wild animals, you freaking morons. And here's what I have. Zero sympathy for people that go out amongst wild animals and then are dying, being eaten with a look of surprise on their face. Like, how could this be? How could this wild animal be eating me? I don't know. Wild animals have been eating humans since forever. Like the entire history of the world. This is not new. Lions did not just decide yesterday, well, I might eat that guy over there. They've been eating that guy over there since the Romans were throwing people into the Colosseum. It's been going on forever. But since we have iPhones today and the internet and Instagram, I guess we don't think that lions, oh, but look at his little face. Look at his fuzzy little face. He looks like he could be the star of the next Disney movie. All right, this story comes to us from thegrindtv.com or www.grindtv.com. It's been all over the place. The story has.
When you said Instagram, can I interrupt for a second?
You may. I will allow you.
When you said Instagram,
I'll allow it.
Thank you. That reminded me that Student of the Gun posts tons of updates on Instagram. What are we doing? One per day?
Yeah, we're doing at least one per day.
Yeah, one per day. So follow Student of the Gun on Instagram. It's just at Student of the Gun.
Yeah, dudes.
And then also, if you guys want to see pictures of my fight, that's where I'm going to upload most of my pictures is Instagram. And I am at PT Jarrad, Jarrad.
Okay.
But anyway, back to lions and stuff.
Back to lions and stuff. Okay, title of the story, Lion Kills Safari Guide in Home of Beep the Lion. You know I'm not going to say the name of the lion. Stop naming wild animals, you hippie morons.
I have a question.
Go ahead. It's not a pet. It's not a poodle.
If this dude would have gotten eaten by a different place,
it would have been different. Would the story be different?
Would the story not have been reported? Because I'm sure that they did this because Cecil the lion is popular.
There you go, saying that. I said we're not going to say that, but it's okay.
Well, whatever.
Anyway,
it's a term.
Yeah,
that is popular, so I had to say it.
Okay, whatever. All right, here we go. Story begins. A safari guide was mauled to death Monday morning while protecting a walking safari tour he was leading in the Hwang? H-W...
Hwang?
Is it Hang? Wang? Hwangi? Hwangi? Let's say Hwangi. Let's say the Hwangi National Park, the Zimbabwe park, that was the home of Cecil the lion, who's a wild animal, not a house pet. It's not a poodle, you moron hippies, which was killed in an illegal hunt last month. Quinn Swales, 40, a fully qualified and experienced Zimbabwean professional guide, was leading a group of tourists on a photographic safari when a male lion, quote, here we go, unexpectedly charged the group, according to the Camp Hwangi Zimbabwe, the company for which he worked. Okay, hang on a second. Let's go back. A walking safari. So here we go. Hey, out there in the grasslands, this is a protected park where we allow lions to roam and be free and not be hunted. But do the lions hunt other stuff? Do the lions hunt like other animals and kill them and eat them? And well, yeah, of course they do, Paul. They're predators. That's what they do. Oh, so we have a park full of wild predators. Do you kids out there know what a predator is? It's something that attacks and kills other things. So we're going to lead a walking tour through a lion-filled park. Oh, but it's a park. It says, according to the official statement from the Hwangi camp, it says, we can confirm that Quid did everything he could to successfully protect his guests and ensure their safety, and that no guests were injured in the incident. Oh, well, there's that. Unfortunately, Quinn passed away this morning as a result of the injuries he sustained from being mauled by a lion. Yes. Suarez was from Trelawney in northern Zimbabwe, according to his Facebook page. News 24 of South Africa reported that the last photo, that, folks, here's the deal. And then they go on to, like, all this Cecil the lion and the dentist and blah, 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 blah. Dudes. I'm not trying to make light of this guy's death. I really am not. But I'm going to tell you this. It's kind of like the chick that rolled down the window to get a better shot of the lion that was 6 feet away. And they're like, hey, you should put your window back up there because that's a freaking lion. It is a killing machine. Do you understand that? What do lions do? They fornicate, they sleep, they kill stuff, and then they eat that stuff. And that's pretty much their life. If they're not killing and eating things,
that doesn't sound
they're
so bad.
Fornicating and sleeping. But exactly. You're probably sitting at home thinking, I'm kind of down with that lifestyle. I want to be a lion. I want to eat, sleep, and fornicate. I want to be a lion. He did everything he could except arm himself to stop a male lion from mauling him to death. Folks, I don't even know what to say.
Don't you understand that's irregular behavior for a lion? So why would he shouldn't have to arm? He never had to arm himself before.
It was unexpected.
He's never been mauled to death before, so...
This is the first time I've been attacked by a lion. Oh! How many times do you need to be attacked by a lion before you say, I think John Moses Browning and everyone who came and went before him, they were hip to this whole lion deal. They're like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into my workshop, and I'm going to come up with a tool that will kind of equalize the outcome between you and the lion. All right? I mean, if your name is Benaniah or Samson, okay. I can see you going out and saying, hey, there's a lion. I can handle that. David, King David, I can see that. If you're like Johnny Tour Guide and you're going to walk amongst the lions, and they're like, oh, well, he did everything he could not to protect everyone. What if the lion said, hey, that dude right there, that was a cool first course, but I'm going to eat all the rest of these people here or some more? What were they going to do? Scream and urinate on themselves? I don't get it. Folks, it's 2015. We know how to stop lions from eating us. This is not a mystery. We know how to stop bears from eating us. Mountain lions, wolves, et al. We figured it out. They're these bang stick type dealios. Am I saying walk around and shoot every lion you see? No. But if one jumps up and says, hey, I'm going to eat you, you might want to have something to stop it. I don't know. Maybe I'm the crazy one. That could be, Jared. I could be the crazy one. So, Lions won. Walking. I wasn't even planning on talking about this story, but it is so insulting to my intelligence that I couldn't ignore it. So Lions won. Walking tour of lion-filled area, 0. All right. Jared, let me click on my show notes because sometimes, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, what did I say earlier? I said, if you don't have what you think you want to have, you need to buy it. Ammo, magazines, I don't care, whatever. Go to brownells.com, check those guys out. They have a new product section that you
They have internet in Zimbabwe?
I'm pretty sure they do. I think they have internet pretty much everywhere in the world where there's electricity and phones.
If you're in Zimbabwe and you're thinking about going on a hunt, or maybe even just a little safari thingy, like a viewing safari, then go to brownells.com and pick up some stuff.
Or at least a first aid kit or something.
They've got water. They've got, you might need some water while you're out there, or an emergency blanket.
Yeah, something like that. You know what else you can get from brownells.com?
A mirror.
Well, no, you can get Duracoat can technology. Oh. You can get the Duracoat to fix up that ugly gun that you've got. You know you've got one. You're like, I don't have an ugly gun. All my guns are beautiful. Okay, you're that one guy. But for those of you that have that one hand-me-down gun that you're thinking, man, I would like to do something cool on it. Or when I get a solid generic black gun like that Fury shotgun from Century, it was just plain black. When I get something like that, the first thing I'm thinking is, ooh, I'm going to put some color on that thing.
Oh, so speaking of when we're off air, remind me to tell you about my little pellet gun neighbor's thingy.
Experience?
Yeah.
Okay,
last
cool.
night. Okay.
Frog Lube, it just works. Buy it from brownells.com or from Frog Lube or whoever you feel like getting it from. I don't care. Put it on your guns. And I tell you what, when we get that Century RPK, we're going to strip that sucker down. And we're going to take off all the factory grease, and we're going to Frog Lube it up. We've used it. This is not my first rodeo, and I know that if you grease up your LMG with Frog Lube, it's going to do you good. And finally, Velocity triggers. Last but certainly not leastly, if you've got a black rifle, they've got a trigger for you. Why don't you take a moment to go over to velocitytriggers.com if you are an AR-15 owner, and regardless of who it might be, Brownells, Duracoat, Frog Lube, et al. If you're a Facebooker, go over to Facebook and give them a thumbs up or a like or a plus or a star or whatever the heck you do. And also, don't forget about Gun District. You hippies out there are awesome. Let me tell you what, you freaks rock, because we are now the most popular page. The only thing that there's one other page on Gun District that has more views than we do, but as far as likes and members and reviews, we are the number one. We rule Gun District because of you. That's right, you, and then that guy over there who may be paying attention behind you too, and you chicks. Thanks, chicks. We appreciate you, Lauren. And hey, you want to play we could play the. You remember Romper Room? You don't remember Romper Room. How many of you hippies out there remember Romper Room in the Magic Mirror?
I have no idea what that is.
When I was a little kid, there was a show called Romper Room. And the hostess, she would hold up her magic mirror, and she'd look in the magic mirror, and she goes, I see Billy. I see Susie. Who else do I see in my magic mirror? I see Frederick and James and Sally and so forth. And, of course, when you're 4 or 5 years old, you're waiting for her to say your name. And she's like, oh, this is my name. So we're just start saying names on the radio, make people happy. They can run around screaming. But all of you, regardless if I said your name or not, who went over to gundistrict.com, it is the social media for the Second Amendment person. It is gun-friendly social media. If you've not participated in social media because you're like, screw Facebook and that Zuckerberg puke face, we're with you. Rock on. Go to gundistrict.com. It is gun-friendly. And because of you guys, Student of the Gun is the number one page on there. Now,
leave us some reviews.
Yeah, well, they have been. They've been good boys and girls. The reason I brought that up is because a lot of our friends they've got Gun District pages now, too. And I noticed when I looked at it earlier today that one of the most recently viewed pages was Frog Lube's page. And Frog Lube has one. And we appreciate you guys out there who are fans of Student of the Gun going to the Frog Lube Gun District page and leaving them a message or whatever. So thank you very much for all that. We really and truly appreciate it. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, this subject came to me. I was aware of this quote, and it's called "The Man in the Arena," and it's by Theodore Roosevelt. And for all you kids out there who went to public school, you're like, I know that name, but I don't know why. Was he the guy during World War II? No, this was the good Roosevelt. Not the communist Roosevelt. This was actually the good one, the one who actually fought They were cousins. Yes, they were cousins. And TR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt wishes he qualified to tie Teddy Roosevelt's boots. Teddy Roosevelt was a soldier. He was a hunter. He was a man of the outdoors. He was somebody that actually went and did things for real. And this excerpt is from a speech he gave called Citizenship in a Republic. Wow. Citizenship in a Republic. You mean Teddy Roosevelt understood that citizenship required this thing called duty, civic duty? That a republic cannot survive without citizens that actually participate and understand their duties? It's crazy. But it's called The Man in the Arena, and I'm going to read it to you guys, and I want to thank my good buddy E.J. Owens, who on Saturday, E.J. sent me a text message, and he basically was a photograph of this speech, of this excerpt from Roosevelt's speech. And I'd seen it before, but it had been a while. It had been a good while since I had read it, and I was glad that he did, and I wanted to make sure that each and every one of you out there in the Student of the Gun audience was aware of it. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes out short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. I got a freedom chub right now.
I was just thinking.
Can I say that? Thank you, Theodore Roosevelt, for leaving us with that. And I want to talk about the man in the arena, in something that we've lost or we've been losing for decades and generation after generation. We're in a situation right now in the United States of America where far too many of us, me, you, our fellow citizens, operate in a virtual world, a world of virtuality or virtuosity or whatever you want to call it, a world where everything is notional. And, people say, well, this goes all the way back to the 80s with video games and so forth. Yeah, well, kids had video games in the 80s, but they actually had to shut them off and go do other stuff. They weren't plugged into their Atari system or their ColecoVision 24 hours a day. Today, we have a society that is plugged into virtual reality 24 hours a day. Whether it's, through Facebook or all these like myriad online games or what have you. It's not reality. It is not reality. We spend all of our days and time sheltering ourselves from reality and from discomfort. Right now, in the United States of America, and actually in the world, but I don't give a crap about the socialists in Europe or anywhere else. I care about the people here in the United States of America. We have a situation that I quoted, I said this in the Weakness article, comfort über alles, comfort above all else. We've been convinced through various different sources, whether it's through the media, through big government, through well-meaning socialist school programs or what have you, that your comfort, whether it's physical comfort or mental comfort, but comfort is the most important thing in the whole world. And anytime you might feel uncomfortable, someone makes you uncomfortable, whether emotionally uncomfortable or, God forbid, physically uncomfortable, that any loss of your comfort is somehow wrong. You should, according to your favorite public school or the big media or the government nanny system, You, as a citizen of the United States, or even an illegal invader, someone who has illegally entered the country and has no lawful right to be here, you should never be uncomfortable. Not for one moment. Not for 1 second. If you're uncomfortable, then something's wrong. Someone, some big daddy, some agency needs to step in and make sure that you're comfortable again. And you should definitely, if you become uncomfortable at any point in your life, you should complain. You should definitely complain. We have a state of weakness. And, Jared, I love that last sentence. I love that descriptor of those who... I love the people that... it's. You know who Teddy Roosevelt was talking about without even understanding or knowing? He gave this speech on Rock the F On 23 April 1910. Whoop, whoop. Thank you, Teddy Roosevelt. He didn't even realize what he was doing at the time. 1910.
What's 23 April? I don't know.
Don't tell people.
No, come on.
No, don't tell people.
I won't.
They're going to steal my identity.
I was trying to get you to do it.
Yeah. No, I don't want my identity stolen. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
No, the reference to cold and timid souls. Wow. His place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. I love that. Cold and timid souls. You mean like Facebook critics or social media critics? People who jump on to say how you should have done this better and done that better and you should derba derba derba. Really? From the comfort of your mom's basement, you're going to tell me, you're going to tell the person who's actually sweating, actually bleeding, actually exerting themselves, actually doing the real legitimate physical effort from the comfort of your mom's basement or your den or whatever, your cubicle on your iPhone. You're going to post a comment. You're cold and timid souls. Our nation is populated
with those.
With cold and timid souls who aren't willing to put forth the effort, who aren't willing to put forth the risk. And that's what it is all about, Jared. It's called risk. Today, in today's world, we talk all about risk management or risk abatement or, we need to examine the risk. Is there any risk involved? You know what? There's risk involved in waking up and walking out of your front door. But some point in time, you've been convinced or someone tried to convince you that your life should be without risk. There should be no risk in your life. Because if you take a risk, you might be uncomfortable. If you take a risk, you might fail.
Speaking of
you
risk,
might not succeed. And that's the worst thing that could possibly happen to you. It could damage your self-esteem.
I want to go skydiving. That just popped in my head. You said risk.
Okay. You need to get your head right first. It'll explode on the way down.
My head's fine. On the inside.
It'll pop.
Yeah, he's completely right. I'm tired of listening to people make excuses for reasons they can't do something. And earlier when you said those who've never felt victory or defeat, I actually had the opportunity on Saturday to feel both of those things at the exact same time. I lost the fight, but I still felt victorious. And I've never had that happen before. I felt both of those emotions at the exact same time. It was weird. Hard to explain.
Well, it's the going the distance. You know, we hear that. It's in songs and it's in stories and poems and whatever. The term "go the distance."
Going the distance.
Going the distance. That's right.
Going for time.
Yeah, going for speed.
Going for speed.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
But do people understand what it means to really go the distance? Most people don't, because the moment I'll give you a great, fantastic example. In the United States military today, we have awesome vehicles. We have trucks, we have armored transport, we have tanks, we have helicopters, we have lots of machines that can pick up troops and take them from point A to point B and deposit them safely there. And given that fact, you'd think that soldiers and Marines, infantrymen, would not have to put packs on their backs and strap their boots on their feet and walk for miles and miles and miles until they think they're going to pass out. You would think there would be no need for that. Why are we walking? Don't we have trucks? Which is what the private says about 3, 4, 5 miles into it. He says, and then about 15 miles into it, he thinks, if I can take 2 more steps, I'll be good. It's called, in the Marine Corps, we call it humping. And when I was in the infantry, we called it a hump. And if you fell out, you were a hump drop. But we called it humping. In the Army, they like to call them ruck marches. It's called a conditioning hike or conditioning march. And it's conditioning because it's not so much physically demanding, although it is physically demanding, but a conditioning march or a hump or a ruck march, the reason that they do that in the infantry, you say, well, I mean, couldn't they just make people run? And you put your shoes on and you go out and you run, and that puts you in good condition. They're not so much worried about conditioning your body as they are about conditioning your mind. Because most humans today, modern men, never get to the point where they feel like they never push themselves beyond the pain, the moment, or beyond discomfort. I'll give you a great example. You know that when you run, if you've ever run, that most people get to a point where they start getting that stitch or that pain. Right, Jared? You've been there. Yeah. I've been there. Everyone who's ever, football, baseball, whatever. Do they run in baseball? They run.
They sprint.
They sprint through the bases and stuff. Football, when you do conditioning and they make you run around the field until you want to throw up, that kind of stuff, or until you do throw up, but you don't get to stop. You get that pain in your side, and the average person, when they feel that pain, they take that as their reason or excuse to stop. Oh, I'm feeling pain. Stop. I have to stop now.
You know the only way to get past that stitch?
To keep going.
Yeah, to go through it. And
you have to run through the pain.
I actually have, when you were saying that, I was getting goosebumps thinking about it because it made me very proud. There's a little girl that comes to the Warrior Fitness classes. Her name's Raven, and I think she's like 14 or 15.
That's so Raven.
Yeah, and we did the tire and the kettlebells, and then we would take off on a little jog in between each set. And she had a stitch, and she was telling me about it. She's like, oh, it hurts so bad. And I was like, the only thing you can do to get past that stitch is run through it. I said, breathe through your nose, deep breaths, and run past the stitch. Just put the pain aside, listen to the music or whatever you got to do. And she did it. She didn't stop. She just kept going. She's 14 years old.
She didn't quit.
Yeah, she didn't quit. And I just thought that I don't know. It was just it was a proud moment for me because she didn't quit.
That's the purpose of a conditioning
you've
march.
Got full-grown males that'll they feel that pain and they're like, oh, I gotta stop.
I gotta walk now. I gotta stand over here and put my hand on the wall and breathe in and out and make a bunch of noise. No, that's not how you condition yourself. You're conditioning your body and your mind. A conditioning march is so that you can push yourself through the pain. You experience the pain, you experience the discomfort, then you push yourself through it, and you realize, you learn, you teach your mind that, you know what? Yeah, that's uncomfortable. Yeah, that was painful, but I can do it. I can make myself go through it. I can go farther. Today, what we have, the reason that we have cold and timid souls is because they've never, ever been forced. They've never been put in a position where they had to push themselves through it.
They sit on a computer all day long.
And they've been convinced that the moment that they feel discomfort, that discomfort is somehow wrong. That, discomfort is to be avoided at all costs. Comfort is more important than anything in your life. And risk, we need to abate risk. I mean, we put our kids, we practically wrap them in bubble wrap when we send them out. You know, the helmet laws, this and the this and the that. And we're trying so much. You know, the moms that won't let their kids go out and play in the dirt. You know, they're like, oh, Jimmy might fall down. Jimmy's a kid. Kids are resilient.
America was literally built upon risk.
Absolutely. Can you imagine trying to build America with today's mentality? Oh, we can't go out there and build a cabin. That's risky. We might not have enough food. And we might not have enough water. The Indians, yeah, I said Indians, they might come and kill us. And a lot of them did. A lot of people died on the frontier. It was hard. Today, we would have never gotten 2 miles past the beach today. You realize that? If modern Americans were to float over to somewhere, they wouldn't get 50 yards off the beach. Oh, there's ugly dark woods in there. I might sweat. I might be uncomfortable. It shames. I feel ashamed for our nation that we've devolved to this. You say, well, Paul, I mean, we don't have to build cabins in the woods. No, you don't have to build cabins in the woods. But folks, stop making excuses. Here's my challenge to you as a student of the gun is the next moment you feel the need or the desire or you feel that temptation to make an excuse. Someone says, hey, let's do this or let's go here, let's do and you've been conditioned that excuses are good and excuses are valid and excuses get you out of discomfort. You're just about to make an excuse. I want you to stop and remember listening to this show. And I want you to think, ooh, should I make an excuse or should I put forth the actual effort? Am I a cold and timid soul? Making excuses is easy. Any retard can go on Facebook and make excuses or critique or, you should have done this, you should do that, blah, 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 says me from the comfort of my mom's basement on my iPhone. Are you actually out there doing it? Are you getting sweaty? You're like, it's easy for you to say, Paul. Folks, let me tell you what. Let me tell you a little bit something about Professor Paul. Professor Paul was not born a wealthy man. I was not born into a wealthy family. I have done a lot in my life, and I did it because I wanted to do it. I had the drive. When I was 19 years old, I was making $4 an hour at the job that I had. I had a job. I worked every day. I was a field technician for a survey company.
You didn't petition to make $15 an hour?
No, I should have sat down on the ground and cried and told them to pay me more money. You know what a field technician does?
A lot of hard
They carry all the crap. Yeah. They call you a field technician.
I'm sure you cut all the branches out of the way for the other people.
The field technician is the guy who chops down the branches that are in the way of the surveyor. The field technician is the guy who carries the sledgehammers and the brush hooks and the rebar. And you are the mule that carries all the stuff. And we'll call you a field technician, and it'll make you feel good. It's like sanitation engineer, you know. But yeah, I was working as a field technician, and I learned a lot. And sometimes I actually shut my mouth and listened, and I learned a lot about land surveying and so forth. But when I was 19 years old, I traveled from Ohio all the way out to Aspen, Colorado to take a 2-week training class.
How old?
19.
I thought you said 13 for some reason.
19.
I was like, what?
No, 19. And I paid for it with my own money. And when I got out there, I had almost nothing. I had, I don't know, maybe the equivalent of $10 to $15 a day to feed myself when I don't know what I was thinking.
Ramen noodles are good.
Well, when I got out there, the school, what they did was they put you up in a hotel. That was part of your tuition was housing. And so the hotel had a continental breakfast. So you were covered for breakfast. You could eat the cereal and bananas and stuff like that. Too. And then lunch, because you were going to be in class and they didn't want to have a bunch of downtime, they would just bring in lunch. For every day they had like a menu and you had like 3 choices. And you're like, I'll take that. And they would bring it, you'd eat it, finish it, and go back to class. So the only thing you really were hardcore, had to buy yourself was your own dinner, and then anything, if you wanted to go out in the evening, you had to pay for it yourself, obviously. But I was very fortunate. I went out there. I had not, thinking back, I might have had $50, $75 cash on me for 2 weeks.
Wow.
I mean, I think my plan was I was just going to eat at McDonald's, but even McDonald's in Aspen is expensive. A $3.90 Happy or meal deal in Ohio was like $6.90 in Aspen. Everything is expensive out there because that's where rich people live. My point is this, though. I did it. I took the risk. I left my comfort zone at age 19. I paid for it myself. I scrimped. I cashed in quarters at the bank. Whatever I had to do because I had the desire and the drive and the motivation. My mommy and daddy didn't pay for it. My work didn't pay for it. I paid for it myself. Now, I was very fortunate, Jared. Did I ever tell you about my roommate? The guy I was roommates with out there?
No, I don't think so.
He was a corrections officer from Juneau, Alaska, and he was in his 30s. And he kind of took, because being 19, I was obviously the youngest guy there. I think the next youngest guy was like 25. So I was the kid. I was the baby of the class. And he took mercy on me. He took pity on me. We would go out in the evening, and if he would buy my beer or whatever.
But you were 19.
Oh, but that was way back then. Yeah, that was 20-plus years ago. Jeez. No, almost 30. It's almost 30 years ago.
Somebody's getting old.
But my point is this. If someone says to you, hey, would you like to go to this class, this training, this whatever, and the first thing out of your mouth is an excuse why you can't, you're wrong. What? Ladies and gentlemen, I used to tell the military kids this. I'm like, if your first response is to give me an excuse why you can't, you are freaking wrong. You need to fix yourself quick, fast, and in a hurry. The first thing out of your mouth should not be an excuse as to why you can't. And if I understand that there are stumbling blocks in life. I understand that there's time constraints. I understand there are financial constraints. I understand all of that stuff. Believe me, I've been there. I've got the T-shirt. But we've devolved into the point as a society where the moment someone throws out a challenge to you, rather than accept the challenge and figure out a way around the obstacles, tell me that your neighbors, friends, family members, or maybe it's you, the first response, the knee-jerk reaction is, this is why I can't do that. This is my excuse. You can be the man in the arena. You can be the woman in the arena. And I'm not talking necessarily about just about the octagon and punching people and kicking people. No, whatever arena it is that you choose, you can be that person, but it is up to you. You have to want to do it. You have to make the purposeful decision not to make the excuses. And it's difficult. I know, because everywhere around you, people are making excuses for you. It's almost like the cold and timid souls are the ones that are being held up as the smart and reasonable, intelligent people. Oh, you don't want to be like those people. They take risks. They actually sweat. You might get injured. You might have sore muscles. Can't have that. Do you want to be a cold and timid soul? Or do you want to be the man in the arena? You have the opportunity as an American to choose, but the choice is yours. The choice is yours to make. And with that, I will leave you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for yet one more episode of Student of the Gun Radio. Yes, you're welcome. And remember, you're a beginner once, but you should indeed be a student for life.